Welcome to the Soulful Valley Podcast, the sanctuary for soul-led entrepreneurs, creatives, and changemakers ready to rise. I'm your host, Carey, best-selling author, book collaboration mentor, publisher, and energy alchemist, here to help you tune into your truth, amplify your voice, and align with the frequency of miracles. Each week, we dive into soulful conversations, transformational journeys, and the energies that shape our lives and businesses. It's time to evolve on purpose, because the world needs your light, your words, your legacy. Let's begin. Are you ready to share your words with the world? Applications are now open for 2 brand new books in our best-selling Soulful Poems series, Soulful Poems 5, Nature and Nurture, Soulful Poems 6, Wisdom of the Soul. We're also inviting authors for our next transformational collaboration, Evolving on Purpose, Volume 3, Angels, Spirit Guides, and the Frequency of Miracles. This September is a month of miracles here in Soulful Valley. On the 9th, we release Soulful Poems 4 on Amazon worldwide, and on the 25th, our international award-winning movie, Zero Limits, premieres worldwide on Amazon and Apple TV. You can even pre-book your movie experience now at zerolimits-movie.com. And when you do, you'll receive exclusive gifts. So whether your soul is calling you to write, to read, or to receive inspiration on screen, this is your time. Step into Soulful Valley and co-create with us today.
You gotta love yourself with all your heart. If you don't already, it's time to start. 'Cause nothing's gonna work out until you do.
Sally Crowe is a farmer, author and coach based on a 65-acre croft in Caithness, in the far north of Scotland. She raises rare breed cattle, sheep and hens, while helping other small farmers and creatives design a life and business that truly fit them. Through her journals, courses and lively Facebook community, My Wee Crofty, Sally champions working smarter, not harder, weaving down-to-earth know-how with soulful reflection. You might have spotted her on BBC Scotland's This Farming Life, or out in the fields barefoot with a cup of tea. Hello and welcome to the Soulful Valley Podcast, Sally.
Hello, how are you, Katie?
I'm wonderful, Sally. It's great to have you here. We've tried to get together a couple of times, and finally it's worked out.
Yes,
so
that's it. Life got in the way a little bit.
For both of us.
Yeah.
So it's wonderful to have you here on the podcast for the first time. So you haven't been here before.
No.
So Sally, as our listeners don't know you yet, could you start by just sharing a little bit about your journey and what led you to where you are today?
Okay, I am Sally. I'm a crofter in Caithness, right up the top near John O'Groats. A crofter basically is a specific type of Highland farmer, small farmer. And just for folk who don't know, I'm a single mum by choice to William, a wee 5-year-old. I run the farm myself, or the croft myself. I have had years of ill health previously. I've gone through the usual conventional farming, push, try to get as much out of the ground as possible, try to get as much out of yourself as possible, doing 3-4 jobs and a farm at the same time. I've travelled the world. I've represented my country at wool handling until about 13 years ago it all went poof and came crashing down, and I had to sort of rediscover who I was. I got ill, quite chronically ill for a while. I was pretty much housebound for a while and did a lot of soul searching, as you do when you're kind of stuck on the couch or in bed for 17 hours a day. And now I'm living the life here. I'm living the dream, man. It's great. I honestly have a life. I've purposely, over the last 8 or 9 years, built the life that I want, and I've consciously made decisions that this is what I want to do, this is how I want my life to look, this is what I'm not willing to do, this is what I want to do. And yeah, I'm getting there. I love it. It's we joke in farming, we say, how's it going? You're like, oh, living the dream. I am living the dream, sometimes feel a bit guilty about saying it, but no, I am living the dream.
That's wonderful. And we met, Sally, in a business group.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not a normal business group, is it? It's not a mainstream type of business group.
No,
It's for
no.
people like us.
Yeah.
a, a bit woo in our ideas.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And you talk, Sally, about saying screw it and going for things that feel out of reach. Can you share an example of that from your life?
Oh, there's so many. Especially since I got ill. You know, before that, I kind of did what I was expected of me and I was following my path and blah, blah, blah. You know, it's just the normal. And I was getting there. I was growing into listening to myself. But sort of over the last 8 or 9 years, yeah, I've started to go, nope, I'm getting middle-aged now as well. I think that's part to do with it as well. But I've started saying stuff that I'm doing what I want to do for me. Two good ones, the business group we're in. You know, it's not a small investment. It's one that's worth it. It was one that I, logically speak mind, I could not afford it. I was on benefits at the time. You know, I really
So was I.
yeah. I was just logically, you were like, what the heck are you doing here? You know, but I went, no, this is going to be work for me, and I did it. I worked out all I had to do was it was a monthly payment, and I had to make that much extra every month, and that was it. It's one of the best decisions I've made. Another one, about 2 years ago now, actually 2 years ago now, I came home from a retreat that I was at, a business retreat that I was at. And the first thing I saw when I came home at night was This Farming Life. It's a BBC Scotland TV programme. And they were calling for new farmers for Series 7. And I went, yeah, I can do that. And literally no thought in my head. I went, nah, stuff it, I'm doing it. Fired off an email. I'm Sally, how are you? I'd love to be on your programme. This is what I've got, blah, blah, blah. Listed it. I'm not your kind of conventional farmer. I think slightly differently. I love my life. I'd love to share it with people. And yeah, after a long process, we were on it. We aired in January this year. You know, that was a big one. Another big stuff at the moment was having my son. Came out of I would call it a situationship, not a relationship now. Badly came out of it. I was 39, 3 weeks shy of being 40, and I wanted kids. 2 weeks after that relationship ended, I was on the phone to the fertility clinic to start having fertility treatment to have my son by myself. And I spoke to somebody recently who said, you must have thought that through. You know, you must have spent a lot of time. You would have weighed it up. You would have taken it all into consideration, how you're going to do it, how you're going to afford it. Childcare, I was like, yeah, nah. I just went, stuff it, I'm having a kid. And I'm going to do it. I'll figure out the details afterwards. And that's probably the best decision. Oh, no, not probably. That is the best decision I've made, obviously. You know, but it was a big one, you know, but.
Very big. What a beautiful share.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. You're juggling farming, motherhood, and business, often on your own.
Mm-hmm.
And what are the biggest challenges and what keeps you going?
I think the biggest challenge and what keeps me going is one and the same as my son. You know, what I'm doing is to build a better life for me and William. I want him to have the opportunities I had when I was a child. We had a great upbringing, you know. My dad worked offshore in the Merchant Navy. He was captain of a supply boat. Mum was at home on the croft. We had a great childhood. We didn't want for much, you know, we didn't have to struggle or anything. And I want William to have that same. Opportunities now have moved forward and has a cost to them, obviously. So, you know, it's a challenge to do it on your own with that. But yeah, he's definitely what drives me forward. But at times, having a kid on a croft by yourself, my dad's here, you know, my dad does help, but he's 81 and he's the granddad. He's not the parent. And it is a hard area to keep that separate. You know, he lives here. We live together. All three of us live together full time. But I do want to have that distinction that William's granddad is his granddad. He's not his parent. He's not a parent in situ or anything like that. So I still make all the decisions. I do most of the running to schools and nurseries. Dad helps with that. He enjoys running them to school, not nurseries, at school now. But it is a challenge having a 5-year-old and having one kid as well. I think summer holidays has shown me that keeping one small child entertained is hard work. Really hard work. He's only going back to school today and I'm knackered. It's been a long one. But other challenges, I mean, the money side of things, farming is not big income. It's very seasonal. It's very much you have nothing for months, but then you get this hit of money as well. So learning to balance that money, I guess the noise in my head about money, learning to let go of that's a challenge as well. Changing my thoughts around it, which I have done, or a lot have done. I've done a lot of work on it and it's really helped. But then there's your usual challenges in farming. You know, weather last year was atrocious. This year we're doing well up here. Further south it's not. So I guess it's just the normal parent challenges and life balancing, and the balancing act is the bit in a way. But in another way, I'm really lucky. The job I have or the lifestyle I have, I am there. I don't have to worry about taking time off. I can be there to put William to school, to pick him up. I can be there for every parents' day, for every sports day, everything like that. So I'm hugely privileged in that situation as well. We never had to worry about childcare. You know, when he was little, he was out in the pram and he'd fall asleep in the shed when we were working. He got a bit bigger. We made a pen up and put toys in it so he was safe. Now he goes out and plays on the bales when we're doing stuff. So each age has got its challenges, but he's also starting to help now. So, you know, he's getting kind of useful now as well, and he's enjoying it. So it's good.
And that freedom as well, when you run your own business, for me, I love the freedom of if the grandchildren are on school holidays, I get to go and play. Their parents work from home, so they're there anyway. But I get to go and play, and I'm not the parent; I'm the grandparent.
Yeah.
So I get the fun side of it.
Yeah.
So we get to go and do some crafting and things.
Yeah.
So that's the freedom I love about this.
Oh, it's amazing. I mean, running your own business, yes, it comes with stresses and strains, but the benefits far outweigh them. I think far outweigh them.
Absolutely.
And I couldn't work for anybody else now. I'd make a terrible
No,
employee.
I couldn't.
That'd
I
be
am
awful.
really totally unemployable now.
Yeah, totally. Nobody would have me these days.
Sally, I've also watched you talk about the things that you've done with your business that are a bit different. So when you've had those ups and downs, you've been really creative and thought outside the box. Do you want to talk about some of the things that you've produced that I've seen you create over the last year or so?
Yeah, well, to start off with, I moved into selling lamb and beef boxes, basically lamb boxes to start off with about 13 years ago, which was a way to, when I was sick, it was a way to put food on the table because I was putting lamb in the freezer for ourselves. I know not everybody agrees with it. It's a hard one to talk about sometimes because not everybody does agree with eating meat, and that's okay. You know, it is what it is. But it was a way for me that I could put some food on the table because living at home with mum and dad, then I had no income. Gradually that grew into selling it to friends, and then it became that I realised that I was setting my price for the year. With farming, you're very market driven, so it's very up and down. You never know from one year to the next what you're getting. It all depends on the market. It could be a great year one year, which it is this year, but next year could absolutely bomb out and you're making a loss, a major loss, you know. And then that moved into selling beef boxes because I've cattle and sheep. That then moved into having eggs, to sell eggs, because I'm a farmer and I feed people. That's what the basics of it is, farmers feed people. But then I started to look at other stuff like the wool from the sheep. So I started selling wool for a while, selling raw fleeces. Then I was selling washed wool for crafters. Then I was selling wool to a company in Gloucester, a really specific type of wool that was washed. It was great. It was making income. And when I was sick, it was something I could do sitting on a chair because it was very much a sitting down one. Very labour intensive, but it did put a bit more money in. That then gradually grew into, well, the beef and lamb boxes grew into lots of people asking me how I was doing it. And I realised, you know what, there's a need for not so much telling people the hows of it, but giving the people the confidence to do it. So the hand holding. So that grew into a course that I teach. I think I've had about 190 farms throughout the UK and Ireland, and some in Australia and New Zealand have done the course now. Then that grew into lots of people asking me, how did I do my sheep keeping records? And one of the Facebook groups I'm in, it's a small one, and they're like, oh, all these record books are for big farmers. So I wrote a book, a journal for a record book for sheep keepers, for small holders. And then that grew into a cattle one, a goat one, a pig one. I've got a chicken one on the go. And then what else have I done? Oh, there's a farm emergency planner for basically if you die suddenly, it's got all your details in it for everybody, you know, because we store so much in our heads on farms that, or one person does. So if that one person goes, and farming is, there is a lot of accidents, so it does happen. How's anybody else going to know? What else have I done recently? I'm making candles is my new one, the beef tallow, you know, and
Wow, yeah.
I started selling my sheepskins for a while, and now the company who tanned my skins, they buy them direct from me now to sell in their direct from producer range. So they've gone all over the world. They had them in New York at a trade fair thing that they were at in New York, and they had 5 of my fleeces there. You know, it's mine, and I think what it is there's this renaissance in farming at the moment that people want to know where their product's coming from, everything, and they want to know that everything's being used, and they want to know how everything's being raised and what the ethos behind it. And I think I've kind of gotten into doing products like that for farmers, you know, and for selling on to other people and helping other farmers figure out how to do it. I've also written new one, but I have a new one course I'm writing, but I wrote a Your Farm Your Way, which is a how to help people live their farm life how they want it. But it's not just about have X number of cattle and this type of tractor. It's more about, do you actually want to work 18 hours a day, or do you want to have the weekends off? How can you build that? Do you want to have a holiday a year? Well, figure out where you can build it in. And are you actually happy with your life? Rather, because farming is your life. It's not a job, you know, so it's more about the mental behind it, and there's a lot of emotion and feeling into that course, which is kind of unusual for farmers at times. They'll not admit it, you know, so it's making people think about boundaries and that as well. And I'm developing that into for normal people as well. I'm not normal, for everybody else.
So you've really expanded your farming business and thought outside of the box, and now you're teaching other people how to do similar, really. So I love that. So yeah, it's brilliant.
It's different for me. It's been hard, I think, because I'm just a crofter for Keith. You know, what do I have to offer anybody? But then I think my power is, and owning my power, that's something I'm just stepping into just now, is owning my power. My power is that I'm making a small croft pay, and I've built a life that I want, and other people want that. My power is knowing, or my skill maybe is not power, maybe skill more, is being able to help other people find that.
And empower them.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Brilliant. So you've mentioned this, so how has navigating perimenopause impacted your journey and the way you approach life?
Yeah, because I'm at that middle age just now. So many of my friends are. My Facebook feed is full of perimenopause and menopausal women at the moment. How has it impacted it? Well, I don't sleep for a start. Sleep's just gone to pot, basically. The whole rage thing is coming in quite a bit recently, and the whole, no, I don't care about that anymore. There's that lady, I don't know if you've seen her, the We Do Not Care Club, and she's amazing.
I haven't.
You know, she's wonderful. She's an American woman, and Melina, something like that. She's part of the We Do Not Care. We are the menopause, and she comes on and she's got her glasses here, and she's another pair here, and she's a neckband, and she's got her notes. She goes, this week, we do not care about. We do not care if you do not like what I'm wearing. We do not care if you do not like our grey hair. We do not care if you think it's too cold. It is too hot. Turn the heating down. She's just spot on. And it's made me laugh, which is good, because it seems to be something I think a lot of other women have at the moment, is that flatness with menopause, perimenopause. You get that dullness, that joy's gone out your life a little bit as well. I've noticed recently. I've sort of, So it's hard. It is hard. Every woman's the same. I think a lot of women are the same at the moment, but it's something that's being talked about more, which is great, I think, and
Yeah,
with a bit of humour as well, I think.
yeah, yeah. I think my life changed quite considerably on the other side of menopause. So I'm
Right.
57
Okay.
next month, but I had a lot of stuff going on that I wasn't really even paying attention to the menopause because I had so many other things going on in my life with my health, and I was in a toxic marriage then as well. So it sort
Hard.
of went by in a bit of a blip.
Yeah. Yeah, no, mine's just bleh. It's becoming a blob. At least I've turned into a blob recently. It feels like, it's just
But you do get to that point where we're in a phase where we don't care anymore what other people
yeah.
think, and we choose to show up the way we want to show up,
Yeah.
and it's okay.
It's freeing, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
It
And all
really
those
is freeing.
decades that we spent feeling like we had to be a certain way or
Yeah.
show up in
Such
a
a
certain way.
waste. Such a
Yeah,
waste we did.
yeah.
But I guess it's what we have to go through. You have to go through it to find out what really matters. Um, and I think that maybe helps in business too a little bit at the moment for me because, okay, you didn't like my product. Well, that's cool. It's not for you. I'm
Yeah.
sorry you didn't like it, but that's okay. It's no skin off my nose. It's business. I'm sure you'll find the right product out there for you. And it's really helped me have that more clear kind of cut between it because actually, do you know what? Okay, you don't like it. Fair enough, I'll refund you, whatever, but I don't really care. Does that sound a bit unfeeling? I don't,
No,
it's bothering
because I
me.
think we just come to that stage where we're actually okay to put ourselves out there a bit more
Mhm.
because we have that freedom and we're not people pleasing anymore, basically.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I think that's
Your
it.
people will find you
Yeah,
and they'll love you and love your products and
yes,
your services.
yes.
And it's not meant for those that don't. So
I wonder where we learned that one.
I'm
It
totally
sounds,
with you. Yeah, we
it
obviously learned
sounded
that from
me.
the same coach.
Yeah. Totally. So it sounded just
And
like me.
funnily, I pulled a card before you came in today, and I'll just show it for those who will get to see the video later. But it's speak your truth.
Yeah,
Very good for this podcast.
yes, indeed.
Now, Sally, you've been featured, as you mentioned, on This Farming Life.
Yes.
What was that experience like for you?
Awesome, awful, mind-blowing, crazy, tiring. Yeah, no, it was great. It was great. I loved it. It was scary to start off with. Something new, always is. Something new is always a little bit different. It was exciting going through all the audition processes we did. I emailed, then we had a phone call, then we had a Zoom call, then another Zoom call. Then a lady came up and filmed. We got to the final 10, a lady came up and filmed, and then between Christmas and New Year, so went from September to sort of end of December. Then we heard between Christmas and New Year that we'd been accepted, and then it went into all the whole legal stuff, all your paperwork and all that you had to do. And then sort of from then on, we had our camera director, Mark. He was on the phone just about every day, it felt like, for a while. Getting to know us. He hadn't worked on This Farming Life before. He knew nothing about farming, which was good, I think, because it brought a freshness to what he filmed, I think. So he had to get to know us. He had to get to know our farm. There's 5 farms on it, and there's 2 crews, so they do 2.5 farms each. So he had to get to know 3 farms basically, and knew nothing about farming. So it was a lot. Then they started filming, and because we were so far north, what they try to do, the crew, is they try to film 1 day a week on every farm, and they film from January through to October, November time. But because we're so far north, they can't, obviously, they're a day travelling up and down from Glasgow to, it's like 6 hours away, so they'd lose 2 days. So what they do is they come up for 3 or 4 days at a time every month. And it was about every 3 weeks. We ended up coming about every 3 weeks. And that first time, man, I cleaned my windows, I washed my roof, I washed my kettle, Actually, one of the other families on it, Andrew and Jojo, they're from up here, so I knew them. And they'd been to Andy and Jojo's first, and I'd found out that they were on it. So we were speaking backwards and forwards, which was great. It kept me sane. Jo kept me sane. And she's like, have you filmed me making a cup of tea and my kettle's awful? Clean your kettle. So I did. Everything was spotless. And then they didn't film in the house. They hardly filmed anything outside. you know, it was panic driven to start off with, I would say, because we didn't know what to expect. But by the third day, we're like, yeah, no, this is cool. You stick your mic pack on, you go out and do your jobs. They're filming. Mark would ask you a question and you'd answer, and then he'd ask it slightly different way and you'd answer, and then he'd ask it this way and you'd answer, and then he'd ask it that way, and then he'd ask you. You know, you felt like you were saying the same thing about 30 million times in a day. Every job took 3 times as long. You know, putting a cow and calf along the road would take 10 minutes, but it took 3.5 hours.
Oh, I can imagine.
Yeah, it's a long, well, you know yourself what filming's like. It's slow.
Well, it's funny when you just said about they filmed you making a cup of tea, because they filmed me making a cup of tea as well.
Yeah, and you do it.
But I can't imagine. It was quite hard for me. And I've got a past in acting when I was younger, but this was really different because it was inside my home. It was inside my home, and it was me talking about, you know, my story.
Mhm.
But because it was filmed from multiple angles, I got all cut up with, oh, I haven't said the same thing twice, you know, because
Yeah, I know.
it's in my memory. So it's not like on a podcast where you say it once and that's it.
Yeah.
There was the half a dozen times saying something, and it what I said changed every time.
Yeah, so did mine. I was just like,
So it felt different to acting when you learn your lines and you just say what you have to
that
say.
would be quite hard, actually, a big change.
Yeah,
It's
it
a
was.
big
Yeah,
difference.
because I actually tried to memorize what I was going to say, but my memory is absolutely
So's mine. Yeah.
crap now.
Yeah, I know the feeling. It's like, I've only got one kid and I go through the dog's names before I get to his name. You know?
But yeah, it can be quite scary. I found it quite scary and overwhelming. And I hadn't had time, because I thought they were going to start filming half an hour later. So I hadn't had time to do all of my inner prep that I was going to do before we started filming. So it was like, oh, we're ready for you. And I was like, oh, I haven't done my, you know, connection to the light web.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, it's.
So yeah,
I found it. One thing I found really hard was, like, because they'd film us coming into the door in the house with our work gear on. We'd open the door, we'd walk in, and then they'd go in and they'd film us coming in from the outside in, and then they'd stand outside and film you taking your outside clothes off, and then you'd put them all back on and they'd film you taking them off again. I forgot how to do a zip up. I couldn't get my hat on. I remember they were filming us having tea and toast one day, just sitting after we'd had a busy day, and we sat at the table and tea and toast, and I choked because I forgot how to eat.
Yeah, because someone's watching you.
I was dying. I'm like, I'm dying here. And they didn't use it. They film so much that they don't use.
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
They really do. You know, but I miss it so much. After we got down to Glasgow for the screening of it, and we got to meet all the other families then, I got a bit tipsy because I forgot to eat, and it was free red wine, and I got quite drunk. Didn't I? Great. I don't drink very often, so it didn't take much. 3 glasses of wine and I was away.
Yeah.
My dad and William were down, and Dad said, come on, I'll take William to the hotel, you can carry on, you know. But it was great to meet everybody, and it was kind of, I think the one thing that really surprised me was the last day of filming here. And we'd done a really nice bit. We'd sort of said, Mark was like, right, is there anything else you can do? We kind of need to do a wrap up here. And I'm like, well, look, we're taking the cattle in a couple of days. Why don't we bed up the shed? So we got the bale. Bobcat took the bale in, and we're bedding it. And Mark's like, can you just wait a couple of minutes? Because the sun was setting. And it was one of those amazing golden... Oh, my Auntie Susie just walked in, sorry. It was one of those amazing golden glow evenings. And he's like, can you just wait a couple of seconds or a couple of minutes so we can film this? I'm like, right, okay. So then we filmed it, and we're bedding up, and the sun was, because it's a south-facing shed, so the sun was streaming in. We were bedding up, the dogs were running around, William was playing in the straw. Mark's like, right, lean on, and I leaned on the gate, and I'm like, well, I guess that's it then. He's like, yeah, what do you think about it? You know, and a little chat, and I didn't really realise he was still filming, and he was kind of like, you know, what's next? What have you done? What are you... you know, sort of, what's your farming journey been like and all this? And I did this really nice bit, and it was a lovely bit. And then he's standing there, and he just went, that's a wrap. And I was like, oh, burst into tears. And I'm like, where did that come from? And it was like, oh, it's done. And it was weird because oh God, I'm getting emotional talking about it. Our involvement was done there, but then they still had all the editing and they had all the voiceovers and everything. And then after that, they had the screening. But then, of course, it wasn't airing. It didn't air to mid-January. So from October, we didn't really air until mid-January, and then it ran on to sort of end of March, beginning of April, I think it was. So although that was an ending, we then had another beginning, and I got really nervous for it airing. And I wasn't going to binge watch it, but I binge watched all our bits the first night it came out, 3 o'clock in the morning. I was on my phone just skipping through all the programmes just to see what they'd used. And after that, I calmed down, and it was great. And then started getting all the feedback, you know, all these women. There was a majority of women that messaged me from all over the world. I've had women from Mexico, Canada, everywhere messaging me saying, I saw you on this farming life, and you're just inspiring. You know, you're running your croft, you've got your son, you know, you're happy, you're cheery, you do it with a bit of humour. And I don't know how you run your business, and I don't know how you do it all, you know. And I'm like, yeah, I don't know either. I just do it. And it's not hard because I love it, you know. And it was quite, yeah, that was a knock on I didn't really think of, that how I'd touch other people's lives more than anything, you know.
So for anybody that hasn't seen that, is it still available to watch?
Yeah, still on BBC iPlayer. It's This Farming Life Series 7 we're in. I've got a hair on my chin. Series 7 we're in. We start in episode 2. We're not in episode 1, we're in episode 2. But it was great. It was absolutely, I loved it. I'd do it again tomorrow. I wish they'd have me back on. It'd be great.
Well, you never know.
Never. Well, they do occasionally. They've had a couple of farms back on, but not many. They generally, I actually know one of the families that's on the next series. The chap messaged me and he's like, hit you up to, and I'm like, I've not spoken to you in 20 odd years. What's the crack? And then he phoned and he's chatting away, and I'm like, what do you want? And then he's like, oh, yeah. And Mark said to say hello, and I was like, oh, I know what you're doing. I'm so excited. And they're going to be ace. They're going to be fantastic, that family on it. And I'm now excited for them. So, you know,
yeah, that's lovely.
There was a bit in the summer there where I was you have the big high, but then you have the big low after something like that. So yeah, I did have a bit of a slump for a while there after the natural kind of way. When you've done a big thing like that and it's done, you're kind of like, oh, what's next?
The opposite energy.
Yeah, ebbs and flows,
yeah,
you know.
Exactly. Finally, Sally, what message would you love to leave our audience with who are ready to live life with zero limits?
Go for it. Just do it. Whatever it is, do it. Don't overthink it. I know a lot of people like to journal things out, and they like to sit with it, and they like to ask for guidance, and they like to do everything. Do you know, sometimes or they like to pros and cons, whatever, you know, sometimes just say, stuff it, I'm doing it, I'm working it out afterwards.
Spending too much time overthinking the whole thing.
Yeah.
And whether they're ready or not.
Yeah, and you'll never be ready. No matter what you do, you will never, ever be ready. So if you're never going to be ready, why not just start now?
Yeah. And if I waited to heal my body, well, I'd still be waiting to start a podcast, wouldn't I?
Exactly.
And I started it
you know, I'd still
way before I was ready.
Yeah, I still struggle with my energy levels, with my chronic Q fever and things like that. There is never, and that's one of the things that show me, there is never a right time to do anything. So just do it. Go for it. You're always going to have people that go, what the hell are they doing? You're always going to have folk going, yay, brilliant, you're doing it. You know, you're always going to have that for and against. What matters is how you do it and that you enjoy it. You know, what matters is that you do it, basically, I think. Just say stuff it and go for it. Basically.
Love it. Sally, where can our listeners find you?
I mainly hang out on Facebook. I'm a social media addict, I have to admit it. I'm at My Wee Crofty, or it's the Croft it is, but it's Facebook at My Wee Crofty. I'm on there regularly, posting about my life, posting about the farm, what William's up to, what Dad's up to. My dad's grown a huge following since he was on Facebook. I'm getting him on to he's 81 and he's doing videos and stuff for me now. So yeah, you just see what we're up to. One thing I will say is don't take my page too seriously. I've had quite a lot of people recently who haven't picked up my dry sense of humour and are really taking things a bit too seriously, but I don't generally take myself too seriously. I think that helps things a lot. So, but yeah, Facebook's where I'm at. TikTok sometimes.
And we'll pop the links in the show notes.
Yeah, lovely.
Thank you so much for today, Sally. It's been lovely to get to know you and to share you with our listeners.
It's been lovely talking to you. I've really enjoyed it, Kate. It's been a good laugh as well. I enjoyed it.
You're welcome. Bye for now.
Bye-bye. Bye.
So ask yourself, is this for me? Give yourself some boundaries. Learn to trust your intuition now.
Hi, I'm Katish Haberfield, and I have participated in 2 of Carey from Soulful Valley Publishing's book collaborations. The first one I collaborated in was Entangled No More, and I wrote a chapter in this one which helped me articulate the benefits of past life regression therapy. I am a clinical hypnotherapist, past life regression therapist, and I am also a business strategist from a spiritual approach. Not only that, but I also divinely channel directly divine feminine and divine masculine energies. So for this was a business expense for me. So I got to show my expertise, and I own the copyright of my individual chapter in here so that I can use it for blog posts and social media posts. So you can see, here's my chapter here. The second one I did was Soulful Poems, and I just submitted one single poem to try it out. And it was a past life memory poem. So I was just listening to some music, which had the cello and the shruti box. And it was a Plum Village app that I was using. And I just started crying and had a past life memory. And so I wrote my past life poem. The good thing about working with Katie in the poem collaborations is that you get your own barcode, a QR code, sorry, that goes directly to your website, and you get a whole page which is a profile. So that is also a business expense for me. And I have participated with a full selection of poems in Soulful Valley 3rd book in the series and a small selection in the 4th book in the series. So if you're wondering, you also get the benefit of being able to earn affiliate income by referring your other friends and poets to either write a chapter, write a book, or submit a poem. And that's about all from me. So if you feel the creative urge to express your soul, you can join Katie's collaborations. And also don't forget to look me up at katish.com and listen to the Infinite Life with Katish Haberfield podcast on all podcast players and YouTube. And our very same Katie Carey is a guest on many of the episodes. So namaste, and I hope to see you in a book collaboration soon.
Thank you for tuning in to the Soulful Valley Podcast. If today's episode spoke to your soul,